Hey, welcome to the Jeremy Lincoln Show. Today with me is one of my homebrew buddies, Brian Pickett. Welcome to the show, Brian. How are you, sir?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Oh man, I'm freaking excited. Like I said just a little bit ago, we were talking off camera. Like I've been thinking about this for such a long time now that I can't wait to make this come to for fruition. I have big plans for this when this becomes bigger. So I kind of give you just a little bit of a background of my idea. I want to talk to a lot of homebrewers. I want to get homebrewers stories. I want to capture them, and then eventually go out into the community, talk to like YouTubers, pro brewers, equipment makers, so on and so forth, and try to get all their stories as well too to keep this community thriving. Every guest is going to get a little bit of intros. So you're married, you're a home brewer, you're a winner of Hoppy Possum, I believe in 2024, correct? Or was it
It could
23?
be 23. I don't know. I don't keep up with
Okay.
it.
You're an avid long distance runner. And we'll get into that in a little bit. I saw that you also do kayaking, which I thought was pretty cool on your Facebook page, and many other activities. Did I miss anything? Anything important?
It's probably the most important things.
The most important things. There you go. So, like I said, I'm gonna kind of keep this more conversational than like interviewee, but I do have questions I do kind of want to ask to kind of get the conversation going. So the first one is like, what is your beer story? Like, what was the first beer that really caught your attention to kind of get you going, just drinking beer, period?
Oh goodness. I think Dogfish Head was the first craft beer that I absolutely fell in love with. And I can remember Modest Touch being that first beer that I drank that was so different and stood out just above and beyond anything else I'd ever had. Of course, probably
Okay.
most people started at 21 with Smirnoff Ice and Michelob Light and all those things. And yeah, once I saw Dogfish Head and had that first beer from
Mhm.
them, it was game on.
Oh, there you go. That's pretty awesome. So, like, my first beer that I can remember at a legal age of 19 in Canada, that's where I went to grab mine, was Molson, and I didn't really care for it. It wasn't sold on the beer craze at all. It wasn't until later on in life when I actually started enjoying beer a little bit better. I found like mixed drinks, cocktail drinks, and stuff like that was more my forte, especially the sweeter stuff, right? So you just drink a bunch of it and don't realize you're getting a little, wasted, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I drank too much. Yeah, but with beer, I think it got to. Actually, I moved down here almost 20 years ago. So when I went to ETSU, I was studying. When I first started off, I was a pre-farm major back when the pharmacy program first got announced there. So at the end of every semester, would go to I think Kroger or something like that and build a six pack and just grab just random beers. Like none of them. The first one that I thought I enjoyed, which I guess wasn't really a craft beer at the time, but was definitely a Blue Moon. I just liked the way the wheat beer was. I thought it was pretty good for what it was at the time. And then I discovered Libation Station, and then I would go there and I would just grab all sorts of stuff. Like some stuff I love, some stuff I just hated. I thought it was just gross. Like I just dumped it. Especially sour beers. I can't do sour beers. I want to. I just can't get on board with the sour beers. There's just too much for me. So let's see. Okay, yeah, I want to talk about like the long distance running. So when I explained this to like friends, they were like going, "Oh, so he does like a 10-mile run." I'm like, "No, he does hundreds of miles of running." So how does the running and beer kind of go hand in hand? Because I know like when you go to these different places, you like to find different breweries to try out. Like when you're in Scotland and England, you run and you try all these crazy beers. Like what has been your experience with that so far?
Anytime we travel overseas or travel anywhere for a race, I think I learned my lesson early on. I went to run the Old Dominion 100 miler, and instead of doing our partying after the race, we did our partying before the race. And
Okay.
I think by the time I got to that race, we'd spent maybe a week in DC drinking and having a great time, and then it was race time. And that was my I believe that was my first did not finish race. So
Okay.
now we always make sure to do our partying afterwards.
So the last one you just did, wasn't that like 200 some odd miles or something like that? If I
That was
remember correctly.
268 miles. It was a spine race.
68.
Yeah, 268, the spine race in Great Britain. Just an absolute fantastic time. I didn't finish it 2 years ago and had to
Mm-hmm.
go back and get a finish there. So it was a good redemption story.
Heck yeah, no, that's awesome. So did you have any nice craft beers we use over there, or was it just more run of the mill?
I was when my wife and I went 2 years ago, and Natalie and
Mm-hmm.
I went. We went to after the race. We went to Prague and did the whole Pilsner Urquell thing.
Wow. Yeah.
Had a great time drinking there. I had yeah, the Czech Republic was one of the cooler places I've ever been to drink, and we
Mm-hmm.
had an absolute blast there. This time it was more focused on racing. Of course, I had a maybe 2 or 3 days in London after the race to recover, and we hit the pubs and things like that. But I was traveling solo and didn't want to get myself into too much trouble.
So with those Czech beers, right? Did you? Oh, there's like, isn't it like three different pours they do? Like one's like all milk, right? It's just all foam, a half and half, and just a pure, just regular pour. Did you get a chance to try all those and see the difference was, or the hype was about those, or anything like
Oh,
that?
we sure did. Yeah, we
Yeah,
did. I'll say it wrong. That was like the Milko pour, Maliko pour. The people on the internet will, I'm sure, come
a
after me
blurry
for
too.
this.
No,
I've
it's
been yelled at
fine.
for dumber things. So,
Heck yeah.
yeah, we ended every night with one of those, and it was fun. It's fun to experience there, fun to see that beer culture.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about it here, and I think a lot of people when they open a brewery here, that's what they always focus on is the beer culture of Germany, Czech Republic,
Mm-hmm.
Belgium. And I don't know how you recreate it in an area where it hasn't been
Mm-hmm.
part of the culture forever. I don't even know how you'd possibly recreate an
Yeah.
English pub
That's
in
true.
this
No,
area.
that's a good question. Yeah. So like there's one that's not too far from here that I was a YouTube channel. I can't remember the name of him. And he has a Czech inspired brewery. So that's all he has is like Czech inspired beer. And I've always been kind of curious, like, how does his hold up to say beer from the Czech area itself? Now, granted, I know I've heard from you and I've heard from one other person in our homebrew group that has gone there. Like drinking beer there, there's a totally different experience than we when we actually get it shipped to us. Like there's just something happens in transit that just degrades the flavor, the taste, the quality of the beer when it actually gets to us. Do you have any thoughts on why that happens? I'm just kind of curious.
No, I really don't, unless
You
it's just
know.
truly the packaging and the time it spends in containers to get here. Maybe it doesn't get
Mm,
refrigerated. Maybe it's heat. Who knows? I know
that
nothing
too.
about the whole distribution process,
I guess
but
that does make sense because like I've noticed that too. If I've let beer sit, I've so behind me is my beer fridge. I have a little beer shelf right there. So if I let certain beers sit too long, I've noticed when I put them in the fridge, there is a slight off flavor. I don't know what it actually is, but I think it just let it age too long in a warm environment instead of being in the refrigerator where it can last or shelf life a little bit longer on it. Which I find that's pretty interesting too. That's a topic I would definitely like to get in with somebody eventually. I'm still learning for the audience. Like I've been doing this for this is my third year being a home brewer, so I don't have a whole lot of experience. I think I make okay beer for the most part. If there's a homebrew competition coming up, I'm tied for first, so we'll see if I can pull the win tomorrow or not. Let's see. I'm kind of excited. See how that one pans out. There was something I was gonna ask us about. Man, I just if it was something about your travels, as went bye bye. So I apologize for that one. But it leads me into so homebrewing itself. I'll talk about myself for a second. So I went brew in a bag. I watched a bunch of videos. I read John Palmer's book, and I found that to be the least barrier to entry that I came across. So I bought a kit. The kit was like extract and a little bit of grain in it as well and stuff like that. That turned out okay, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna pull the trigger. I bought a bigger kettle, bought the big old bag, and just kind of been doing that for the past 3 years. What is your preferred method overall?
let's see. Well, right now I do mainly batch sparging. I have the
Okay.
ability to do other ways of brewing, but that's primarily what I do. I find I get the most consistent results from that, going through that process. All grain, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah. I don't really know what else to expand upon on that. I found trying to mess with my water quality a lot
Mm-hmm.
more. My wife's big into saltwater aquariums, so trying to think 5 years ago we got our own reverse osmosis
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
system for the house. And it was each little thing you do makes that incremental difference in your beer, and that was a huge step. Just being able to control the water. I was lazy. I didn't want to go to Walmart or go somewhere and buy the distilled water and all that. I kind of just went with what was in the tap, but that made a huge difference in and of itself.
So okay, so since now you have reverse osmosis water, so are there certain water profiles you're trying to hit with like with brewing salts and stuff like that, try to get that certain chemistry that you're looking for?
Too, and I'm still playing around with that a
Yeah.
whole lot. It's a lot of fun, and I am definitely a person that dumps way more beer than I ever drink. I might brew 5 gallons and drink 2 pints, and it'll be
Mm,
it. I'll just dump it out. Not because it's bad. It's just because it's like, well, that was interesting. Now, what happens when I side by side it doing something else? And I just like to move on and do anything else. I went through the wild phase with brewing where, you're always trying to brew with the wildest ingredients. And now I'm in the
mm-hmm.
dial it in phase where I'm wanting to try to make the best beer I could possibly make for
Heck
me and my
yeah.
friends. Yeah.
No, I love that. So do you have a recipe that you find that's repeatable since you're going through this whole testing and getting all your chemistry, water profiles all set up?
Sure. And that's, I would say, for most of us with homebrewers, you're going to brew for yourself and brew for your
Mm-hmm.
friends. And that's me. So stouts are the things that my friends enjoy the most. I enjoy a great stout. So I have and I know people will cringe at it. I have my pastry stout recipe that I have dialed in that I really enjoy. And then I have just a few others. I've got a dry Irish stout recipe that I
Okay.
really enjoy. I've got a porter that I enjoy making.
Okay.
Those are probably my 3 ones that people really like to make, but even there, you're still messing around with it. What can we do with water quality? What
Mm-hmm.
happens if I change the mash temperature a little bit? Wonder what'll happen. I did my porter for a party I'm throwing here in a few weeks and,
Mm-hmm.
was trying to mess around with some enzymes and just
Mm-hmm.
seeing how those worked and, totally over attenuated my beer. And, it's just stuff like that. You're just playing around. You're trying to see what works. You're reading everything you can and listening to podcasts and
Yep.
just like this one. And you're trying new things. And sometimes it hits the mark. Sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it doesn't. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, like you, I find myself brewing smaller batches now. So I do like, I think I do 3 gallons because I get tired of throwing away like a 5 gallon batch. Like you said, only drinking, a cup or two or giving away a 6 pack. I'm like, all right, I want to do something different. I want to see what else can I make. Because I even tried messing around. I finally bought a mill, right? So I've been trying to like adjust that just a little bit, and I've tried double crushing to see if that changes anything or not. I've used Brewfather, and I have actually like a brewer's notebook, so I kind of use both. So like the day off, I'll write down stuff on there, then I'll kind of transpose that into Brewfather and kind of add notes to that. If it's a beer I want to repeat, one of the beer I try to repeat is I have a cream ale that I kind of enjoy, so I like to make that one every once in a while. There's a kit that I like to buy. If everyone likes it, it's the honey blueberry one, which I know you've had a few different times. I'm going to change. I'm going to buy it again, but I'm going to add blueberry puree to it this time around because I want more blueberry flavor. Because there's a lot of blueberry on the nose, but there's like no blueberry flavor. So I may try that to see what that comes out to be. Look forward for that maybe springtime or so. I think that's when I got that one scheduled to come up with.
Blueberry's one of those. We did a Hoppy Possum a few years back. We did a blueberry muffin kind of
Mm-hmm.
like the Great Notion blueberry muffin. And as we
Yeah.
were tasting everything, going through the process, putting in blueberries, just never quite hit that flavor we want. And eventually, you're tasting it and it's like your third batch, and you're like, man, I don't think it's blueberry that I'm wanting. I'm looking for that dark fruit flavor. And we added maybe it's like a half a pound of blackberry puree in it. And it
Okay.
popped. And it was just like all of a sudden, like blueberries just don't have that much flavor, but you put that touch of blackberry in there and it suddenly provided the flavor I wanted. And I think what you were imagining a blueberry tasted like in a,
Okay. Yeah, I'll
I
jot that
think,
down.
yeah, we're thinking about, I think that's it. We're always thinking about the fake blueberry taste. But
Yeah, exactly.
yes, but that's what people are expecting is that fake blueberry taste, not the actual blueberry flavor. But yeah, I
Yeah.
found that like half a pound of blackberry puree gave me the flavor I wanted. And it wasn't just an extract to be an extract.
Right.
Not that there's anything wrong with extracts. I enjoy using them from time to time.
Yep. I just actually made a note. I wrote that down real quick. I don't want to forget. I mean, I have to scale it back. Probably don't need a half pound, probably a little less than that, but for a
And
three
if
gallon
anybody
batch.
does want to know if you want to give a cake flavor to your beer, The birthday cake amaretti, I'm trying to think, like their extract gives it
Okay.
that cakey flavor that I think people think of for that blueberry muffin. And I read that on Reddit somewhere, and it was sure enough true. It was just a really small amount.
Wow.
It was like an ounce
Interesting.
of, yeah, birthday cake flavor.
Now, do you use any of that in your pastry salad at all, or do you lean more towards like
No, not typically.
lactose and stuff like that?
I don't use any lactose in mine. I find
Okay.
that I have a hard enough time getting it to get to the final gravity I want to without that. So I
Hmm.
don't use lactose, any maltodextrin. My wife's got a lactose intolerance, so we
Gotcha.
don't need that in the house. We
Oh,
let her
poor
listen.
wifey. Put her on blast already. Not even 10 minutes in. So speaking of your wife, she's now she's a home brewer as well, correct? Does she help out in the brewery with you, or she's more the
I was gonna say, now my wife is I am not mechanically inclined at all. I am the least mechanically inclined person you'll ever meet. So when the grain mill breaks, when the glycol chiller is no longer working, when I am trying to troubleshoot,
okay? Yeah.
the pumps quit working, she's the one that steps in and does all the electrical work, gets
Heck yeah.
everything fixed. I'm the person cussing in the background. She's the one calm and gets that together. But as far as like the actual brew day and going through the grains and all
Hmm.
that, she doesn't have much interest in it. But I could not brew a beer without her, because
That's
honestly,
awesome.
it's yeah, no, I can't tell you how many times something is broken and she has
Uh
stepped
huh.
in the middle of the brew day and been the brew day MacGyver.
I like that. That's really cool. So my wife's come down to set with me, I think once, which is fine because it is kind of boring, right? You're just sitting there, for like brewing a bag, basically for people that don't know, it's like think of it like making tea. You're just letting the grain steep in a targeted mash temperature. So let's say 148 for an hour or so. So for that hour, you're doing nothing really. Now you could be doing stuff. You could sanitize this. You could wash that. All these little things that kind of keep the day going. But if you already done all that, you're just there for an hour. Just so I usually read a book, or listen to a podcast, or just to keep myself so busy. I did do a double uh brew day, and I'll never do that again. That was too much for me. I am not built for 6, 7 hours of brewing and moving and washing and sanitizing, all that not fun stuff for that day. It was not fun at all. But it's something I had to get done because I think one was for a competition beer and another one was just beer I wanted to make. It's been on my radar forever. And I had all the grain sitting around. I was like, I just got to even get this thing done and over with because I'm never going to do it if I don't do it now, kind of situations. Yeah, so that's really cool. Yeah, that's really neat about your wife. I know she's a really good teacher and she teaches some pretty interesting topics, but I guess that kind of makes sense now that I think about her background a little bit. I would like to interview her. She hasn't signed up for anything. I sent her a message. She didn't say anything, but I'd still like to chit chat with her. Yeah, so I want to call her. Natalie, get hold of me. Okay, there you go. I called her out.
Well, it's funny. You'll like this. This is not brewing related at all, but this weekend our garbage disposal broke in the sink. And so I was like, "Do you want me to help?" And she's like, "No, I want you to stay out of the way. Would you just go and clean your room and the bathrooms and everything?" And so I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And so she finished installing the garbage disposal. I had laundry and did all that stuff. And at the end, I said, "Well, I'm going to tell everybody you went and cleaned my room while I fixed the garbage." So I'm sticking to that story.
Heck yeah, I'm gonna tell everybody. Yeah, Brian did. I don't care what Natalie says.
Yeah, edit
He
that
did it
part
all.
out.
Yeah, I'll edit it out. I'll highlight that one. That'd be a short. So this question is pretty interesting because I think I kind of know your answer, but I want to see what you come up with. Is there any memorable fails, the brew day fails that you had?
I'm trying to. There's so many.
I think it's something recently that we just talked about maybe a couple months ago.
A couple months ago. Goodness, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. Well, I mean, I know we had the. I don't really consider that too much of a fail, just because it was meant to be awful, which was the Hungry Man.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So definitely want to get into that one. So hold off on that one for a second. We'll get that one in a minute. I'm thinking. Okay, so for Hoppy Possum, you had one that like you said like everything that could go wrong went wrong. Like the whole brew day was just horrible.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's trying to. I can't even. That's so funny because there's so many of them. You really can't even. I'm trying to think of what that. I can't even remember what I served at Hoppy Possum this year, which is funny in and of itself. I'm like, I can't even remember what I served this year. But yeah, no, for things like that, you do have the days where everything goes wrong, where you whatever reason you trip over your hose pipe and you set your one of your hoses and you drop an entire like 2 gallons of
Yeah.
wort, and you're just like, oh my god, what am I gonna what how am I gonna deal with this? And eventually, like, well, I
Hmm.
guess I'm rolling with it. Or you're yeah, I think that was one of the times my glycol chiller broke, and so we're just sitting there like, all right, we let's try to figure out the glycol chiller and see what we can do on that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you run out of oxygen, so you can't oxygenate your wort on a high gravity beer, and you're once again you're like, well, I'll shake it and see what happens. And I promise
Yeah.
you, shaking your beer does not oxygenate your beer. You will notice a difference in articulation in a 12-15% beer. You need to oxygenate it.
Well, so that's good to know too, because I've never made anything that high before. That's interesting. So, do you use a wand that has like a little like I don't know what they're called, but a little bit on the top of it kind of helps disperse the oxygen through the wort, or
Yeah, I use a wand, and I
okay.
used to do the little like red tanks you could get at Lowe's
Mm-hmm.
to do it that way. And then you quickly figure out like I can buy an entire like tank of oxygen at, at air gas, and it's
Mm-hmm.
so much cheaper and it'll last you forever. Just buy a regulator, buy the thing, and then just go
Okay.
through. It's cheaper in the long.
And it probably is. So like I've always been kind of curious about this too. Like I've seen some people talk about using old air gun CO2 tanks to carb their beers. And a buddy of mine who was an avid airsoft, not airsoft, sorry, those tanks. So wouldn't that oil get into the beer? So I assume it would. Have you ever come across that, or have you used anything like that before, or are you just gone straight to real CO2 canisters?
I've always asked that question at Airgas one time because we were talking
Mm-hmm.
about food safe versus not food safe, and they said it's like I can't remember, and I may be misquoting them, so I don't want to throw anybody at Airgas under the bus, but they were basically like it was the process and the testing it went through. But for them, when you bought a tank, if you didn't label it like food safe or something like that, it was just really and truly more the process it went through. But it would, I think he said like he would have no reservations in using it in his beer to
Okay,
carbonate it. But
fair
he
enough.
said, it does go through a process. And I was kind of joking with him. I was like, why do y'all take my name and number for a bottle of CO2? Like, this seems kind of silly. What am I going to do with it? And they're like, oh, if there is something wrong with it, we can call you and recall it. And I was like,
Well, that does make
oh man, I
sense.
never
Yeah.
even thought about that. Yeah, it's kind of wild, but I don't mind asking stupid questions in there. So
No, no. I mean, I've gone there as well too, and they seem to be really not knowledgeable for the most part. I still have not done the whole nitro canisters quite yet. Like my son bought me a really cool tap. I've yet to make a stout anything. So not stout, but nitro anything. Stout would be the one I would make because I think that's what he wanted me to make him one time. I just never got around to it. So so we were talking about like failed days and stuff like that. One time I had this pretty interesting failed day and I couldn't quite understand what was going on. So I added a bunch of water to my pot and then, I gotta get the burner going and kind of go around, grab all the other stuff I need for the brew day. And I come by and I see these brown, chunky stuff floating around. I'm like, what are you? Thought maybe it was something in the distilled water that I bought. So I dumped it all out, I go back to the store, go buy another 7 gallons, sure if I fill it all back up, and there's still chunky stuff floating around. I'm like, what the crap? So I tore everything apart and right around the ball, on the ball valve itself, built up the scale. Even though I thought I was scrubbing it really good and let's say with PBW, it wasn't. It was just chunky old beer. Like, man, this is disgusting. Like, how many beers have I made with this stuff just floating around doing whatever to my beer? Because I've had a couple beers I thought were infected ish or just really off, and I don't thought, well, maybe that could have been it. Maybe that could have been the problem, but I mean, who knows? There's so many little things can happen, like the keg could not have been properly cleaned all the way, or the fermenting bucket. I just sanitize long enough, even though I shake the crap out of it every for like at least 5 minutes. I go around and shake it and pick it up and shake it some more. I'm always shaking that stupid thing, trying to get rid of my bat wings. That's what I'm trying to do.
I think I did I started doing closed transfers, probably my second or third one, and that's
Mm-hmm.
once again you put everything on there. You think everything's on, you're ready to go, and you're cussing because you haven't. Nothing's going right. It won't transfer correctly, and then you finally realize you just didn't flip the valve to turn on the CO2 to send it to your tank, and it's 30
Uh-huh.
minutes of cussing and yelling and all those
Yep.
things. Yeah, I think it takes a good 5 or 6 times to get your process down.
So I just did that myself. I didn't. Mine went fine. So the clone beer that I did, I don't have a lagering system. So like I made my quote unquote temp control system, which I think I've talked to you about it before. So basically, in my keezer, I have this really skinny 5 gallon trash can. I fill that up like halfway with water and I throw a bunch of ice in it. I have a water pump basically circulates through a coil. I drill the hole into one of my lids to go through and has a little bit like a temperature probe. And it does okay, but it never hits like lagering temperatures, right? I can get it down to about 58 degrees, about those I can go. So what I do now is I do pressure fermentation for the most part, and my beers turn out I think pretty good. So I did it with that one. So I did a closed transfer because it's American Pale Ale. I didn't want any oxygen hitting it and maybe altering some of the flavors or especially the colors, right? Like I've heard oxygenated beer where this has quite a few hops in it and stuff like that can alter the color of it and stuff like that. It's like, well, I don't want to do that either. So that went pretty well. My thing was is I had my CO2 up just a little too high. I only wanted 2 pounds of pressure. I think I had it set at 9. So I heard and back that off because I could hear like some weird noise in the other keg. Like, what's making like a weird gurgling kind of noise? And I was like, oh, that's probably too high. So I backed that off, purged the other keg to get some of the pressure out. And it turned out fine. It's a pretty good beer. So I'm drinking right now, so it's pretty good. I can't complain about that one at all. So I'm going to jump forward a little bit. Like some of these questions since you brought it up. I am curious about it. So we do homebrew competitions in our club, and I feel like I was a fairly new member, and it was these. I don't even know what the competition was called. Unique flavors. I don't know what it was called. Like somebody made a banana Foster beer that was phenomenal. Somebody made a sour with ice cream. You made what would you call yours again?
It was the Hungry Man Brown Ale. So I was gonna say Stephen Trentham and goodness gracious, Todd. Those two guys that used to always come to the homebrew club. We don't see them as
Mhm.
much anymore. And we were all hanging out together with a friend of mine who's works for the TBI, and he was talking
Mhm.
about how people would, do something to intentionally get arrested, and they'd want to know what jail they were going to because that would determine what your meal was going to be where you were
Mhm.
going. And I think it was Kingsport City served the Hungry Man beer. So, not that a DUI is ever a joke. I promise. I've never had one, and I'm going to get one. It's not one of those deals, but it became kind of our running joke. Like, if you're going to get a DUI, make sure you go to Kingsport City because at least you get the Hungry Man meal. So we all started, it became a running joke. We are going to make a meal with like Salisbury steak and potatoes and serve it. And of
Mhm.
course, we never thought we would. And we had that, it was the experimental beer competition. And I thought,
That's what it was.
all
Yeah.
right, yeah, by God, I'm making a Hungry Man brown ale. And I think that was with, yeah, I made it with like beef bouillon, potatoes, corn. Yeah. And, it was everything you would imagine.
Oh, it was, and then some. I remember like also. I don't. I think I had because I had that first, and I smelled it. I was like, "Holy crap! This smells like real food, like you would get somewhere." I was like, all right. So I took a sip, and I think it was the saltiness that got to me. And I'm like, I just like this. And so when you weren't looking, because I didn't know you very well then, I just kind of pushed it over my shoulder. I was like,
Okay.
yep, I'm done with this.
It was not meant to be. I mean, it was meant to
Oh
just
my
be a joke.
God,
It
it
was
was
not.
it was such a good joke though, such a good joke, man.
I was amazed it was even drinkable. I know it really wasn't, but it was it's just something stupid to do, and it was a good time. I enjoyed
I know
making
that
it.
was it was so much fun, so much fun. Oh man, yeah. I so like I said, I was fairly new. I don't think I was even part of the club, maybe just a couple months. I don't feel like I was part of the club for very long. I remember we was at the Boones Creek John City Brew. We're sitting outside. I remember my back was up against the railing. That's why I was gonna dump it over the railing. Like, yep, I'm done with this thing right now. I'll just sip on this other stuff that I got. So I struggle with this. I'm very passionate about this. Again, I'm still fairly new. I really enjoy home brewing overall. I think it's a great hobby. It's great to make my own beer. I understand like some people kind of get out of the hobby, because they got into it because they want to make beers they couldn't buy, uh, everywhere. And then now like you can pretty much buy almost anything you want within reason, right? We're fortunate we have a place called like Libation Station in Johnson City that sells a variety of beers. It's not the biggest selection, but it's still a good variety overall. Then if we want to drive a couple hours east or west, we can go to Total Wine and More, which then has a bigger selection of beers to choose from and all that kind of stuff. So we're definitely spoiled that way. So when people ask me questions about homebrewing, I find myself I can talk about homebrewing for a very long time. I mean, I can talk hours about it. I really enjoy this topic, everything about it. So like, and people seem interested to get into home brewing. So one way I got one gentleman to come over, I just said, "Hey, I'm brewing today. Why don't you come on over and just kind of watch the process of it?" Have you gone through those struggles as well? Try to get other people like into the hobby, and what was your take on that once you actually got them there? Like what are all the steps you had to do to keep them engaged? I guess.
I hate to say it, I've never cared about getting anyone else
Oh,
into
okay,
the
fair
hobby.
enough. Fair enough.
It's been it's been zero interest to me. I usually am the other way. I usually will try to talk people out of it and tell them, "Hey, it's 6 hours of your day. By the time you invest in equipment and you get all together, and that's I always joke and say if I work 6 to 8 hours instead of making the beer, I could buy all the beer. I could buy a lot more. So, yeah, no, but I've never really tried to get anyone into it. I hate to say for me, I go the other direction and
No,
usually
that's
try.
totally fine. I love honesty. Yeah, I love honesty. So, like, I used to tell people, like, I used to first off and say, well, you had to not mind doing dishes because there's a lot of cleaning in this hobby. Like, people don't understand the amount of cleaning that you have to do until you actually do it. Because the one person I had come over, I pretty much said, well, we're basically done. I just have to clean up now, and you don't want to stick around for an hour and a half watch me clean anything. So then I changed it from like you have to not enjoy, you have to enjoy cleaning. You have to wash dishes. That's what it is. You have to enjoy washing dishes. Then I changed it to is like, well, I have a hobby where I wash a lot of dishes that produces beer. Because this is what it is. Like I feel like I'm always running back and forth from like the sink to wash this, wash that. That's what I find I do now. Is like I used to wait till the very end of the brew day. Now I actually grab the stuff that I know that I'm just done with. Like I'm not going to use this whisk anymore. I'm switching over to a spoon. The whisk go ahead and get washed. I'm not going to use the lid anymore. Then we go ahead and just wash the lid to get done over with. Just so I don't have to sit there and wait to pile it all up. I did come across something interesting. I think I'll pick your brain on this one. So I had a chemical reaction happen to me a few months ago. I think my back was hurting, and I let my copper wort chiller sit in my kettle with PBW. The next morning, the water was green
Yes,
and the copper was basically black.
yes.
So what? Do you know what caused that? I have no idea. I never looked into it. I just remember I watched it with like a solution of vinegar and water, and it got rid of all of that. Turned back to copper. But do you know what happened to that per se?
So now this is where we need Natalie. This is where we need the
Okay, fair enough.
chemist down here.
The chemist. Yep.
It's an alkalinity thing, and she could explain it to you inside out and outside in. She definitely could. I'm not quite as good on that, but yeah,
Yeah, I wasn't either. I mean, I guess
give you the
yeah, I
full
could spend
rundown.
15 seconds in ChatGPT it, I guess, but I'd rather talk to somebody real. It's like, what's going on here? Help me out here. I feel like
Yeah,
an
no,
idiot.
that's when I need to get her down here.
Yep. So you brought up that you have a glycol chiller, which is fascinating because I would love to have one someday. But you can't see, but I'm pointing that way over there. That's like my brew setup is over there. So I'm kind of spoiled that it's right 10 feet from me, but I don't really have a room for like a glycol chiller yet. What other equipment do you use? Do you have like a all-in-one system or like kegel or whatever it gets called or stuff like that?
No, so I do. I spend probably most of my money on the cold side. So I have
Okay.
three pressurized conical fermenters that I can use. It's trying to think, and then just for brewing, it's one of those deals. I think you can, when it comes down to money on like the actual hot side, it's more of convenience. I think that's what you're spending money on because you can make great beer with a cooler. You can make good beer with two 15-gallon tanks and recirculation, and you can spend all the money in the world on a 3 vessel system, which is something I'd love to get one day. It's like I say, it's all about, it's about convenience. So for me, I'm pretty simple. I can do the recirculation and hook it up to, an electric system, do the recirculating mash, and then take it over and boil it. But for the most part, it's just more of an ease and setup. I just use a cooler and batch sparge. It's just easy for me, and I don't have to deal with everything else. It's an ease for cleanup and an ease for everything else.
All right, so you bought up batch sparge twice now. So could you explain what that is?
Oh, sure. It's just putting in basically all the water into the grain. It went almost like a brew in a bag. You're just putting the water in, and you can do step temperatures and things like that as you go. It's just determining how thick or thin you want the mash to be and what temperature you want it at. So
Yeah,
that's how I manage it.
is like you like different proteins and stuff like that at certain temperatures and
That's it. Yeah, I sure
yeah,
do. It depends on the beer. Some of them I
yeah,
do, some
true.
of them I don't. Some of them it's just a single infusion, boom, knock it out and go. And it just depends on the beer you want to make.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that. Yeah. I've not done step mash yet. I have a recipe to do so with. I just haven't tried it yet. Been wanting to. I was at Hobby Possum yeah, it was last year's Hobby Possum, and I come across a guy. I can't think of his name. I'll need to try to find him. He's out in Knoxville, and I think his brewery was called like Copperhead or Copperton or something. Anyways, he had a Helles that I just fell in love with. Like I've not had a Helles that good. I've tried hundreds of them. His was just phenomenal. So he actually let me take a picture of his recipe, and it is all step mash. Like bring it up to 128 for so long, and then 136 for this, and then 140 something, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. Sounds like an extra longer day that I want to do right now. What? Maybe this winter I'm gonna have a little more time or something like that. I'll try it out. But it was such a phenomenal like Helles. It was so good, so good. I gotta go saying so much. I hate when I do that. Hoppy Possum. So I think Hoppy Possum is really cool. I've never been to a homebrew competition that's you not only has homebrewers there, there's also pro brewers there too, which kind of hurts my brain when I think of it. But you've been a part of it for like at least I've been a part of this club for 3 years old. I know for 3 years. I'm thinking about doing it next year. I think I finally have the confidence to brew a couple things I think will do okay at best. What has been your experience? So like I said, I know you've won either last year or the year before last. So what has been your experience with like the whole thing? Like, is it easy to get involved? Is it like what is the process?
It's fairly, to get involved, I think it's fairly easy. It's just submitting your application to
Okay.
him. We had our discussion this year that it may have been our last year to do it. If we do it, we'll do it in a different way next time. I wouldn't mind going with someone else. It's a lot of work that goes
Mm-hmm.
into it, trying to do the 10-gallon batches, trying to make a decision about which way you're going to go. Are you going to try to play to the crowd? Or are you going to brew what
Mm-hmm.
you want to brew? And, doing your test batches if you're trying to brew something with adjuncts and something you're not familiar with brewing. So you're usually, by the time it's all said and done, you're 20 to 30 gallons of beer in before you even brew your 10 gallons for the competition. It is a lot of work. It's a ton of fun. It does make you try to get a little better.
Mm-hmm.
It irritates you when you don't do as well as you'd like. It's part of the it's part of the popular vote. And yeah, it's just it is an interesting competition. It is fun, and I do like what Gavin does with it because it's a lot of fun, but it is a whole lot of work that goes into it.
So when you say 10-gallon batches, is it a 10-gallon batch of the one beer, or is it 10-gallon batch for two separate styles of beers?
If you're doing a beer, it has to be 10 gallons of the one beer.
Okay.
So if you're bringing two different beers, you're going to have to bring 20 gallons worth. And depending, I mean, with my system, I can pop out 20 gallons of beer in a day. It does take me using both of my systems, my
Mm-hmm.
recirculating mash and electric systems, along with my doing like the cooler system. But
Mm-hmm.
like you said, I've done it before, but I don't like doing it.
Yeah, that's a lot
So
of
yeah,
work.
10-gallon batches, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of moving parts, and you don't
Mm-hmm.
get to sit down for about 10 hours, so you're going the full time. But yeah, it's 10 gallons of one beer, and I know for
Okay.
a lot of home brewers, we're set up for Most people are set up for 5, and like I
Mm,
say, I can do 10 if I want to, but
right.
yeah.
So my system's only 5, so I would make four identical batches or 4 okay batches and blend them all together. And this is what we get out of this stuff right here.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I think it'd be fun to do.
I've got all types of. I was gonna say anybody that wants to participate in Hoppy Possum, I have all types of ideas and things to do and ways to. I think you can increase your chances of winning, and it's fun to observe. You just never know if what you brew is going to be
Hmm.
the beer that catches fire. And sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to it. You can never figure it out.
Right. Like you said, I mean, it's just a popularity vote. I also think being a outsider tasting all the beers, I feel like by the time you get towards the back part of the thing, you could be pretty tipsy before you get there. So you're like, either you're not scanning anymore, or if you are scanning, you may be giving not great ratings. I'm going to admit this. I forgot to scan yours and Kobe's because it started to rain on us, right? So we just sat there and we drank, we had a good time, and like rain stopped. We just kind of went our vote. It just went away, and like when I left, I'm like, oh, I didn't vote for my club members at all. Like I'm a jerk. I just drank and ran.
Yeah, I think if you're a brewer for that competition, if you go in with any expectation to do well, you're going to probably walk away disappointed. But if you
Right.
go in to have a good time, and that's what I said, if we go back, I would rather go back with a group of people. We set up one tent, we have 3 or 4 beers, and
Mm-hmm.
have some people to serve, and everybody else gets to go out and drink and come
Walk
back, and
around.
we walk around and switch off. I say it's just so much work to do by yourself that
Mm-hmm.
it's almost it's not overwhelming, it's just a lot. And,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
thinking
this year
about doing a cider and a beer. So I would need what, 15 gallons, I guess, then at that point. Okay. So that's very doable. I think I definitely want to do that Thanksgiving apple pie cider that I did last year. I think that turned out really great. A lot of people seem to enjoy that. And then I'll probably just do the blueberry honey one. Like I said, that's what I want to use that puree with. Because I want to see, but now since you brought out the blackberry, I mean, add that in there a little bit too, just to kind of see what I get and maybe tweak that one. Because like I said, I enjoy that beer a lot. So myself, I have no expectations of winning. I've never done before. I've only done homebrew competitions. So like, I have no idea what to expect. But I definitely feel like placement is definitely the key. But because again, like, not sure because let's see, last couple of years you've been towards the 2 years ago you were at the back, you were at the fence. This year you're more in the middle. But as I was watching the crowd, I watched like everybody would huddle at the first like 10, and there'd just be big crowds, and then slowly people would kind of trickle out going towards following the path back and stuff like that. So I wonder, I don't have the sheet anymore, but I wonder the ones who won, are they part of that first like 10 or 12 like that you walk past first before you get to the whole, I'm gonna call it like a village. That's what it was, like whole village in the back, and you have the little straight line and stuff. I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel like that could be the case. Maybe Kobe may knows. I don't know. He has the paperwork on that one.
the year we placed, we were right beside the porta pots.
Okay. Okay.
I actually joked as I think that actually helps because I promise you in a beer competition, everyone's got to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
we got to lay eyes on everybody.
So do you pick your spots, or do they pick it for you, or is it just
It's
based on
random.
style?
It's total random.
Can you request? 'Cause I saw you and Kobe were next to each other. So you guys
Yeah,
request that?
we requested that. So he put us next to each other.
Okay.
And
So I
if you
wouldn't
want to
mind doing
join,
that next year. Yeah.
yeah, if you want to join a tent with someone, he'll let you just say that. Both of you have to say you want to be in the same tent together.
I'm gonna go crash this tent real quick. That'd be hilarious. Yeah, I definitely, I think it'd be fun if all of us could do it. I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I don't want to make any commitments or anything like that, but I do recall Johnson City, was it the Cardinals Stadium? I forget what it's called out there in Johnson City. They had Hoppy Possum there, and I remember the club basically had one big section of people. There was probably like 10 of you basically there. Then there was a few oddballs here and there. They kind of scattered throughout because they were just serving different things. It'd be kind of fun if we could do something like that again, just do like a club style guess competition. Heck, that one from what was it, South Carolina? There was like what? There was about a dozen of them, weren't there? Members or something
Yeah,
like that. They were
they had a
huge.
huge number. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
they
I
were
think
really
they had
big.
like 2 people place, but, each brewer gets to vote too, and it's the nature of the competition. If you have
Makes
15
sense.
people voting for your beer to give you 5, 5 stars, it gives you that 15 vote jump automatically,
Yep, right
and
out the
so
bat.
it's the competition. There's nothing unfair about it or anything. It's just it's what you're doing. Yeah.
So we talked about our club a couple times. What have you, since you've been a member for quite a while now? You can probably indulge like how long you've been a member of it. But what does a club bring to homebrewers? Like, what is the like? What do you think the main purpose is of having a club?
I think it's just for me, it's the social aspect. I enjoy getting together with people of varying ideas, different political thoughts, and getting to hang out. And, usually no one talks about that stuff. Or if they do, it's brief and it's over. Everyone's got one thing they enjoy and can talk about, and that's beer and getting to taste each other's beer, getting feedback on what you like, what you don't like, and I don't know. To me, it's really just the social aspect of it. I miss the old days of craft beer when you stood in line for a special release and you got to talk to people and discuss the beer and get excited about it. And that's what the club does for me. Is it gives me a group of people that are excited about beer.
Yeah, exactly. I feel this. I feel the same way too. I'm glad I found this club. I want people to be honest with me. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. I mean, I'm pushing 50, so I'm all right. So like, just tell me like it sucks. It's fine because I'll even tell you like I think it's bad. So like when we had the homebrew competition for like the Oktoberfest, like I knew nothing about the what is that called? I'm drawing a blank right now. So where you rise the temperature of lagering. What is that called?
Doing a diastole rest
Yes,
or
that
doing
right there. Yeah. So I had no clue like about that, right? So my beer, I enjoyed it because I thought it people Joe pointed out that it had a butter flavor to it. I tasted toffee myself, which I guess is the same kind of realm as butter. So I enjoyed it for that fact. And I think you said you liked it as well too, if I remember correctly. I was going somewhere with oh yeah, so I like the input that I got from people for just being honest with me because I want that opinion because like how else am I going to learn? Like I have, like I said, I didn't know about that. So if I knew about that, maybe I would have added that in. Maybe I would have bumped up the temperature, let it sit for a few days or whatever, and then tried to put it back in the my keezer, let it logger for a while, or all that kind of fun stuff that it does. But yeah, I like that aspect of it, and the socializing has definitely gotten better overall. I think I've got to meet a lot of people. I've got to hang out with people outside of the club, which has been great. Like I've gone to your house for a get together a year ago. That was a blast. You put on the Michigan State game for me and my wife, so we got to sit outside and watch that, and because we're definitely the house divided, right? Because we're from Michigan, obviously. I don't think anybody else would support Michigan State if they weren't from Michigan, which are doing horrible this year, by the way. Just pure trash. We'll throw that out there. Lions ain't doing so hot either for some reason. Either that's kind of it's been bumping me out too. So I'm gonna throw them all on blast. So I would like our club to grow a little more, but I guess it goes back to getting people involved with homebrewing. But you're the opposite, so you wouldn't want the club to grow
I don't even know
based
if
on your
people.
logic.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I was to say I don't think there's it. I tell people anyone that wanted to brew, you probably need to love craft beer first, and that's me.
Yeah,
I love beer. People like, oh, no one likes the taste of beer. I'm like, man, I have. It's always that. I hope my parents never listen to this podcast because my first time having like alcohol, like my father's a lawyer, and so he would. I cleaned his law offices, and of course,
okay,
they had all the liquor and everything there, and you're
yeah,
like
yeah.
15, 16 years old. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm dangerous because man, I had that first drink. I saw that liquor cabinet and you're 15 and you're like, oh, I'm gonna see what that thing's about. You pour your little drink, and man, I loved it from the get-go. I love the
Okay,
taste. And so, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, craft beer gets me excited. I love everything about it, love learning about it, love learning the different styles. And I
yeah,
think if you have that love, then you'll probably think, well, what can I do myself? And how can you strive for getting that
yeah, for
beer?
sure. Yeah. Oh, well, history of beer too is phenomenal too, right? Just the history of it, like going all the way back to what is the Sumerians who made, well, like a porridge soup that was fermented. Like it may have been like a 0.5%, 1%, but I mean, it was still, some of the beginnings of beer in a sense, right? So like every culture had some type of fermented beverage. It seems like I haven't come across one that hasn't had one yet. So I think a future episode, I'm going to drop this out there, is I would like to talk to people about religion and fermentation and how that has drove all that kind of stuff, because I love history, so like I think that'd be a kind of interesting list. Granted, that'd be like way down the line. I still like a lot of homebrewers I want to talk to first. I got to get that out there. So we're getting close to wrapping this up, and I do appreciate you coming out here. It's been so much fun. I've always enjoyed talking to you. You're such a great guy. So I have some like rapid fire questions I just kind of want to ask you right off the bat. So just first, the first thing that comes to mind, just answer it. All right. So hazy or clear, bottle or can?
Can.
A favorite beer glass. Ooh, that's a good one.
No, goodness gracious. Oh, I don't even know. I'm trying to think of what I use the most. Man, Pretentious Glass. It's my absolute favorite glass maker. How about that? Shout out to Pretentious Glass in Knoxville.
There you go. I like it. One brew trend that you would like to see go away.
Hey,
Yeah.
God, those damn seltzer flavored, whatever, pastry seltzers.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get rid of
Okay.
that. Sorry, Zool. We need to
Okay.
quit
There you go.
that.
All right. One. What would be one that you wanted to see come back that has disappeared, is no longer around anymore?
I miss the sour beer. I know you hate them, but
I
I
can't.
hate to
Yeah.
see the sour beers going away. And so many of the great breweries that do that, I want to see those guys make a comeback. I really, really hate to see so many of them closing down and going away right now.
Just kind of wrap things up here. So, if you would like to see someone else interviewed, who would that be?
I was gonna
Tough
say,
questions.
yeah.
It could be club members, it could be non-club members. Just if you have contact information, even better.
No, I was gonna say Steven would be a great interview, or Steven or Tim. Yeah, either one of those guys.
Okay.
They're both super knowledgeable, big into the homebrew club scene. Yeah, I think both of them would give an excellent interview.
Yeah, so maybe you can whisper in their ears for me. So I reached out to Steven and got crickets. And I see him on Facebook all the time. I'm like, all right, punk. So is there anything exciting coming up for Brian in the near future?
Well, man, I still say this weekend Celly drippings over at Sierra
Okay.
Nevada. So I don't know
Okay.
how, we're in this area. You got to get excited for that one
Yeah.
weekend. Big release that's coming out. So that's probably the biggest thing right there, at least beer
Biggest thing for you.
wise.
There you go. Yeah, for
Yeah.
me, I'm moving my daughter, so I won't be going nowhere. I'll be sore. That's what I'm gonna go on for sure. I just thought of this question. Do you have a recipe that you would like to share with people? And what I'll do is I'll just take your recipe if you do want to share it. I'll just make it like a Google Drive, and I'll just throw it up there, and people can just go to it and just grab it and try it out.
Yeah, sure. I'll do
Okay.
that.
All
It's
right.
so funny you said hazy or clear, and I have been working hard on my hazy IPA recently. So
Okay.
I've finally kind of dialed in something that I'm happy with that. So yeah,
Okay.
I'll throw my hazy IPA recipe in there
All
since I
right.
want
Yeah.
clear instead of hazy.
Perfect. Yeah. You can send it to me via, however, you have my information.
Sounds great. I'll do it.
All right, Brian, it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for being on here today. I wish you the best in your future endeavors. Hopefully, another competition in your future. Maybe we can join up on that. It'd be fun.
Take care, Jeremy. It's good talking to you. See you tomorrow.
Oh yeah, for sure, sir. See you, buddy.